The original names, words, and everything in between of Volume 2 will be releasing on the 16th of November 2021. Pre-order your copy today by searching Word Origins book into Amazon and clicking on the non-sponsored link, or checking wherever books are purchased in your part of the world. Rock formations are without a doubt some of the most visually impressive features of nature that our planet has provided us with. The way they can so often sprout out the ground in isolation or appear in mass in various locations, from impressive cliffsides, imposing buttes to, well, Grand Canyons. Rock formations have really captured the human imagination with all kinds of tales being told about them and their origins. Simply put, rocks rock. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I hope all the geologists watching enjoyed that one. However, sometimes the most eye-catching thing about these formations aren't the rocks themselves, but rather the titles we have given them. As the title of this video suggests, the names we have applied to rock formations from around the world range from the wonderful to the downright weird. In fact, I would go as far as to say some of the strangest names that we've given to geographic features belong to none other than rock formations. So today we are going to be looking into a variety of rock formations from around the world with rather eye-catching names, and of course explaining how they ended up with such interesting titles, for better or for worse. Though something we ought to answer right out of the gate is why rock formations so consistently have such odd names. Well, I have my own theory as to why these rock formations are so consistently confusing with their names, and that's because simply they remind us of things we see. As mentioned earlier, many of these rock formations have really caught the human imagination. A lot are simply named after what people felt they looked like, some a tad more abstract than others. This will become a little bit more clear as we dive into them. Some of these names, however, come from a more divine origin. The people of Earth have not always been as geologically savvy as we are today. When humans of the past saw large rocks that took on shapes, they couldn't fathom it was just nature and geology doing its thing, so instead believed that superior beings created them and named them in their honor. It's also worth noting that while I may be giving off the impression that all rock formations have bizarre names, that really isn't the case. There are many very sensible names, and also while I found strange names from around the world, they're primarily from the English speaking world, especially in the UK and USA. This is because these are names that are more apparently strange to myself, a native English speaker. Please do let me know about some of the strangely named rock formations in your language and your part of the world, however. I am but one man sitting in a house in the UK on the internet. Let's start with an English-speaking nation that is neither the UK nor the USA, shall we? That being the USA's northern neighbour of Canada. In Ontario, you will find a rock formation called the Devil's Chair. As mentioned, a lot of these formations have religious-related names, as it was thought it was religious beings who formed them. This isn't the last time we'll be talking about the devil in this video. It seems this name came about as this formation does rather look like some sort of sinister throne. And is there anyone else more fitting to sit in a sinister throne than the devil himself? Devil's chairs are also present in folklore and urban legends as being innately carved chairs and benches found in cemeteries with a variety of legends attached to them. Perhaps this formation has ties to these legends too. Another Canadian rock formation is the Sleeping Giant. This is a series of mesas once again in Ontario. This is another image-based name. Sleeping Giant has this name as it looks very much like a large human man asleep on their side. In fact, this isn't the only sleeping giant on our planet. This one supposedly has a very defined Adam's apple if viewed from a specific direction. There are also many other rock formations that have reminded people of larger humans. The name of a Longyear Men might sound English at first. It even sounds somewhat like slang. This, however, seems to be a Chinese name of a rock formation that was formerly on the island of Singapore. They were destroyed by the British in the 19th century, but a recreation of them have been made. While I am unsure what exactly Longyear Men means, they are also known as the Dragon's Teeth Gate, a much cooler name, that's for sure. They got this name as these smaller rock formations look like the teeth of a dragon guiding sailors to shore. A cave can be considered a type of rock formation too, at least in this video anyway, and there's a cave in Chile called Cueva del Milodon, which in English translates into the Cave of the Mylodon. This sounds pretty spooky at first, however a Mylodon is actually just an extinct kind of sloth, so this name basically means the sloth cave, which isn't as exciting. The cave is named after this archaic sloth as bones, teeth and even soft tissue of this extinct animal have been found in and around this cave. It's actually one of the most important sites in regard to researching this long gone creature, and to be fair, these sloths are pretty different to the kind of sloths we have on our planet today. They look just a tad more active. Nigeria's Zuma Rock at first might sound like it's named after the Zuma generation, however these two names are spelled pretty differently. The name however is definitely eye-catching, as is the huge rock itself. The rock seems to also have many myths and legends attached to it. The name however is not as mythical in meaning. It was named by the Zuba people and named Zwoma initially. This name means the place of catching guinea fowl, simply because there are an awful lot of this bird on the rock, making it an ideal hunting ground for them. Another part of the world with myths and legends is Scandinavia, specifically Norway. This is the part of the world that is heavily known for its myths relating to trolls. Trolls are pretty scary creatures, so you kind of want to keep them away from human civilizations. Some sort of giant wall ought to do the trick, and the Troll Wall rock formation will certainly do that. While these walls are technically a mountain, they are rather unique, being incredibly vertical. As hinted towards, their name comes from the fact that they were seen as large walls placed there to keep the trolls out. Now, if only a wall to keep trolls out existed here online too. In the north of the Republic of Ireland, you will find a smaller island, which is a rock formation unto itself. This island has the name of Tory Island. This island is either heaven or hell to anyone from the UK depending on their political allegiance. You probably won't find a large group of British Conservatives on this island however, but its name does directly relate to why the Conservatives are called Tories. Tory comes directly from the Irish word of Torre, which means robber or bandit. It was given to the UK right as an insult at first, but has since become a term many Tories call themselves. This island was named Tory Island as many bandits and robbers would have used it as a safe haven away from the prying eyes of the law. We have talked about Australia before and how their nation does not have the best track record with naming things. This might apply to their rock formations too, it would seem, as the nation is home to the Remarkable Rocks, named simply because of how amazing they look, and to be fair, they are pretty remarkable. It's worth noting that the Remarkable Rocks are on Kangaroo Island, perhaps the most Australian island name there is. As mentioned at the top, I want to cover a few more from my home nation of the UK, starting with the very famous Durdle Door. It's quite odd to hear a rock referred to as a door, but when you see the opening this rock makes, it makes all the sense in the world. But why is this door a Durdle Door of all things? What even is a durdle? Well, the durdle in Durdle Door comes from an Old English word meaning bore/drill, so the name really means drill door, as it's like this door has been drilled out of the rock. If that wasn't strange enough, however, in England there's also a rock formation called Cheese Ring. This pile of rocks that seem to defy gravity are named after a type of old device which is used to squeeze liquids out of cheese, which is called a cheese ring. It is named after this device as the rocks supposedly look like a pile of cheese rings on top of each other. We love cheese here in England, and we even see cheese in rocks it would seem. Old Harry's Rocks are also in England, and while that name might sound innocent at first, there's something a tad more devilish going on with this name than it would seem at first. Old Harry is actually another name for the devil once again. I told you we hadn't seen the last of him. The devil, aka Old Harry, is a rather mean spirit and would enjoy watching ships get destroyed. And these rocks stick out of the ocean, and it was believed that the devil put them there for ships to crash into, hence why they are Old Harry's Rocks. Arthur, however, is not another name for the devil, so we can thankfully rule out the idea of Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh being named after Satan too. This rock formation is thought to be named after a certain King Arthur. It's believed this name comes from the idea that this may have been where the mythical Camelot was, or might just be because the hills look somewhat like a seat/throne. It's the USA, however, that really seems to win for the strangest rock formation names. There's a whole list of them over on Wikipedia, so it was hard to pick just a selection of them. To start with, we have Frog Woman Rock. This supposedly comes from the legend of a woman with a beautiful face but a squat, ugly body who would leap around and lure men to their death. There's also Potato Chip Rock too, which is named because it's so thin and flat that it does in fact look rather like a potato chip. The Tooth of Time sounds like an important item in a Legend of Zelda game. It is in fact, however, a rock formation in New Mexico. We've seen other formations be referred to as teeth due to their shape, and I imagine the time part in this reflects how long it has been there. And there's also Ticklish Rock. This name comes from the fact that this rock is so precarious looking that it looks like a single tickle would make it wiggle and fall down. Finally, we have two oddly named rocks very close to each other, the Turnip and the Thumbnail, both in Michigan. The Turnip bears that name because this strange rock does rather look like a turnip. As for the Thumbnail, however, well, that's because of this rock's location. I've never noticed, but the main part of the state of Michigan looks an awful lot like a mitten, and this rock is found at the tip tip of this mitten's thumb, so it's quite fittingly this mitten's thumbnail. Of course, today the term thumbnail has a very different meaning. In fact, there's quite a high chance that this thumbnail will be on the thumbnail for this very video. Rock formations were suggested by Nancy Moon Smith, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's patron saint of rock formations. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explain video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explain Patreon saint. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Patreon is vital to Name Explain, and donating just $2 a month allows you to enjoy ad-free videos and bonus Patreon exclusive content. It also allows you to help choose what names get explained in upcoming videos, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you so much for all the support you guys give Name Explain. Thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. Check out another video and subscribe to stay in the loop on all things Name Explain. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram where I'm Name Explain YT, and also join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain, both of which will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again, thank you all so much.